What is happening, everybody? So in this video, we're going to create a short navigation tutorial. And this is going to be just a simple navigation bar, but it's going to be responsive and without using JavaScript, only CSS. We're going to use something called a pseudo element, the check property of a checkbox. And with the help of the checkbox, we're going to create this responsive navigation bar. So let's take a look at how this will look like at the end. And then let's get started with the video. So we're going to create this simple site. And what we're going to concentrate on is this navigation bar. And if we make this smaller, so let me just try making this smaller. You will see, first of all, take a look up here at the tags. At approximately here, you're going to jump to this navigation button. Then if you go even smaller, then the text here will get smaller and the logo will jump to the middle. So approximately here. And now if we click on the navigation button, this navigation drop-down menu will appear. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Also, we're gonna handle this hamburger sign right here and the X sign. You see it also has a bit of an animation there. Okay, so let's get started with the tutorial. Now I like to start from scratch, so we'll create a new folder and we'll call this responsive navigation. Now I'll be using Visual Studio Code for my code editor. Now just drag and drop the folder within here. And now let's create a index.html. And a style.css. Well, no problem, F2 CSS. And I'm also going to create just an image folder where I'm going to have my image, so that background image that we saw right there. And as always, you will have all the code in the description down below. So go ahead, check that out. If you want, you can stop and pause the video right now, download the code and just follow along or code along with me. Okay, so let's grab hold of our image, drag it right in here. As I said, you will have access to all of the code. Okay, we're going to create first of all a boilerplate. Let's give this a name of navigation menu. Actually responsive. And I'm going to start off with a nav tag, and I'm going to give this a class of nav. Now within our nav tag, we'll create an anchor tag, which will go first of all nowhere, and I'm going to give this a class of logo, and this is where our logo will live. So within the anchor tag, well, first of all, you can type in here whatever you want. I'm just going to type in have media, but the media I'm going to type in between two scan tags. Okay, so that's it for our logo. Now going down underneath our logo, we're going to create an input tag. And this is actually what will help us create that checkbox. So this is going to be not a text, but a checkbox. So the input tag will be the type of checkbox. Now what is really important is that we have to give this a ID. I'll just name this menu_btn and also a class of menu_btn. Now next up we'll create a label, and the label will actually be for this menu btn. So for this input, I'm gonna just copy this ID. And this is extremely important because these two will communicate with one another. Okay, so we have the label for, and we also will give this a class of menu icon. Now underneath, actually within our label tag, I will also create a span tag, which I will give a class of nav icon. And with the help of this span tag, we'll create that hamburger that you saw. Let me actually make this on my coffee machine. Just love it when my coffee machine, middle in the tutorials, making it all well. Yep. Okay. Continue on with our tutorial here. We'll create a UL honor.list, and within this we'll create some list items with some anchor tags, which will also go nowhere. But the first one I will give a class of active. So let me just, okay, we will type it in here, home. I will delete this and copy it 2 more times. And this would be about, then services and contact. After our navigation tag, I'm just going to create a section tag. And within this, I will create an h1, 2 span tags. So the first span tag and then another, which will hold the title of our page. So this will be responsive navigation. And in the second span tag, we'll type in no JavaScript. JavaScript. Java, man. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the HTML. That's not too much HTML, as you can see. But now let's jump into our CSS. One thing we forgot here is to link up our CSS with our HTML. So I'm just going to create a link tag and then link it up with a style CSS. Let me drag this over here, and we can already open this up. Open with live server. Make this smaller, and let me just rearrange this a bit. Okay, so I hope you guys can see. And actually, I'm gonna make this also larger. Great. Now let's jump into our CSS and let's just make a few general resets. And for this, we're gonna hit star, then before, after, and we tell this to have a padding of 0. So the entire HTML, everything will have padding of 0, margin of 0. And let me just see. I want to have the box sizing of border box. And also these two, just because I don't want any anchor tags or any list items to have the bullets or the underlines. So just take a look here. We'll tell this to be none. So the list style. And also the text decoration should be none. And then those underlines should disappear. Okay, now the next thing I want to do here is to take my body and reset the font size to 16 pixels. So everything will be 60 pixels. Even the H1 tags, each and everything will have the base size of 16, the base font size of 16 pixels. And then I'm just going to have a font family of sans serif. And that's basically it for our basic resets. Now, I'm just going to really quickly style my section, so the page layout, and we'll position this as relative. Then I'm going to give this a background image. Now type in URL, and now you just have to select the path where you saved your image. You can also give this only a background color, but I'm going to use an image here. Now the next thing we have to do is to set the background position to center and the background size to cover. So this will cover up the entire page. But one thing we need here, because this is pretty small, is to tell it to have a height of 95 viewport heights, because the rest of this will be actually the navigation. You can always see this takes up the entire page almost. And I'm going to just push it down from the top with 5 viewport heights. And we also can give this a width of 100%, but in this case it doesn't matter. Okay, next up, within our section tag, we will take our H1 and we're going to give this a color of FFF. So bring a white color. There it is. It already appears. Now we're going to position this relative and I'm going to push it down from the top. %40. 50, 40. Well, actually, I'm gonna do this time something else. Give it a height, because right now it has only its own height and that is not much. So just give it a height of 100% of its container. Now I'm gonna give this a margin auto, so it will always stay within the middle of its container. A text align of center. This will be pushed to the center. Now I want to change the font size to 10 rem. We can also change the font family because we only set it to sans serif. And this time I'm going to go with, say, Joe. And it's actually pretty ugly, but let's just leave it this way. And letter spacing, I want to have just a bit more spacing between the letters of 5 pixels. Now in order to pop out, I'm gonna give this a text shadow of 2 pixels, 2 pixels, 10 pixels, and a hash of 111, so it's black. See, like for example here it already pops out of the image. Now in order to achieve that, what we had, just 1 second. Actually it's opened here. Now, in order to achieve this spacing, I could push it down and up and down, but I'm just going to use display flex. So I'm going to display the entire H1 as flex, and by default, display flex displays everything into a row. So I'm going to change this by telling it to flex direction column. And now it flexes in a column again. And now in order to have the same height and the same distance overall, I'm going to justify the content with space evenly. And this will push it down to the to the bottom. So evenly from the bottom, between each item, and from the top. And the rest of the real estate right here is where our navigation will live. Okay, so that's it for our basic styling for our layout. Now let's tackle on the navigation. And let's just really quickly take a look in our index. So we have this class of nav for entire navigation, so .nav. I'm going to give this a background color of RGB. I'm going to type in 15 for the red. Now for the green, 60. And for the blue, 95. Just give me this dark blue color. Let me just close this. Now I also want this to have a bit of a box shadow, so underneath it of, let's say, 0.05 pixels, and with a disperse of 5 pixels. You could also make this 15. Take a look at this bigger, or 15 here. That is then gives it this blur effect. Okay, next up, I'm going to position this not relative but fixed. This will always remain fixed up here. Now you see it already changed its size. We're going to handle this by giving it, first of all, a height of 70 pixels. Now we tell it to remain top at 0, so it will start right here at 0. Now we're going to give this a width of 100% of its container. Now it's going to take up all of the width. And a Z index of, let's say, 2. So I want it to always stay on top. But not always, but this will be the second item that is going to stay on top. And we don't have too many overlays right here. So regarding to our main page here is going to be overlaid. Okay, next up I'm going to take the class of nav, and within this the unordered list, and we give this the overflow of hidden. Now a background color, and right here we're going to select the same color that we had here, so a RGB of 15, 60 and 95. There we go. Now within this navigation tag again, and within the UL, you're going to select only the anchor tags, because we also have an anchor tag for the logo, as you can see. So this, but we want to select only within the UL the anchor tags. And for the anchor tags, we're going to display them as block. So no matter where I click, don't have to click exactly the anchor tag, but its entire block. Now I'm going to give this a bit of padding of 2 rem. A border to the right of 2 pixels solid and hash 111. Then the colors of the anchor tags have a free F, so white. We will change the font weight to 700, so this will be bold. The font size to 1.3 rem. And text decoration, well, actually text transform to uppercase. There we go. Now, a very quick note, you can hit save, Ctrl S, or actually I have a setting. So let me just quickly show you. You type in here within your Visual Studio Code, auto setting, auto save. I actually have it set to after delay and 1000 here. So it automatically saves almost after every change that I make. And that's why you see this page refreshing itself. Okay, now we'll continue on with the nav class. Jesus, nav class. There we go. And now we're going to select the logo within the nav class. So let's take a look at our index again. Go and select this one. Now there are many ways of doing this, and in this tutorial we're going to use float, and I'm going to float it to the left, so in this direction. Now I'm also going to display this as block because a label is normally an inline element. I'm going to change block, okay, change the font size to 2.2 rem. So this is already bigger and it's pushed to the right. So that the navigation is pushed to the right because now this is a block element. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to give it a padding to the left. So this will have just a bit of padding of 1 rem. I'm going to change the color now of my logo. You can change it to whatever color you want. I'm just going to pick a goldenrod. Now the font weight of also 700, and the font family, I'm gonna go with Lucent Sans. Now in order for this also to pop out, gonna give it a text shadow again of 5 pixels, 5 pixels, 10 pixels, and #FFF. Now this looks pretty awful. Let's go with 333, and that's much better. Also 111, dark. I like it this way. Good. Now we do know we have a span tag within here, so I'm gonna select the nav again, the logo, and within this the span. Did I put it in a span? I think I did. Yep, the media is in a span. And for the span, we are going to change the color to 3Fs. Now I'm going to give this a text transform to uppercase. I'm going to change the font size also to 1.5 rem. So this should be a bit smaller. And now the letter spacing, we're going to increase it to 2 pixels. You can see it has a bit more space, just to make a difference between this and this. You can, if you put something else in it, then you can leave it as it is. Okay, continuing on, we're going to take the nav, the UL, and the anchor tags within this. Now I want to say that if we hover over them, want the background color to change to white, and the color of the anchor text to change to, where do we have it? Here, to the background color. So the RGB 1560 95. Okay, so let's put this in here. And I don't want, so you see it's already changing, but I don't want to have this very quick change. I want to have a bit of a transition. So we're going to say transition 0.2 seconds and is in. Now if we take a look at the hover, it's much better. Now next thing, we're going to take the nav, and within this the menu class. I'm going to give this a max height of 0, a clear bold. Now let's just hover over this. Indicates which side of the element box may not be adjusted adjacent to an earlier floating box. So this only works with float, and you will see why we do this just a bit later on. And now I'm also going to give this a transition for the max height with the same 0.2 seconds and ease out this time. This will have no effect right now, but as soon as we handle our checkbox, this will actually drop down. Now we're going to take the nav class again, and within this the menu dash icon. I'm going to give this a box shadow again of 0.05 pixels, 1 pixel, and the color of white. Now also give this a bit of padding. So this right here of 25 pixels and 20 pixels. We're actually creating now our box. Now we're going to position this relative, and we're doing this because each element within this menu icon, so this will be the parent element, and all of its children are going to position absolute. So absolute to its parent container, which is positioned relative. Okay, we're going to float this to the right. And we want the cursor, when we hover over it, to be pointer. Next up, I can actually just copy this. And within our menu.icon, we're going to take the nav dash icon, and now want to take the before pseudo selector and change the background. So it's actually up here. You can see it right now, but it's already appearing up here. Make this smaller again. So we're going to change the background color to 3 Fs. Now we want the content. Just forgot to close this up. So the content should be empty, but it should be displayed as block. The position should be absolute. I'm going to give this a width of 100% of its container and a height of 100%. Now we want to push this from the top. You can already see this appearing here. Push it from the top down 5 pixels. And when this happens, I'm going to give this with a transition of all 0.2 seconds ease out. Okay, the same thing right here, I'm gonna do for the after. So just change the before to after, place as block, position it absolute, but this time we want to have 5 pixels. Now let's take our btn, our button. So the nav, the class of nav, dot menu. Actually, I define it as, yep, menu button. Menu button. We're going to hide this first of all, so display as none. And then the button is gone. Let me just comment this out again. You can see the button right here. If you display it as none, it's gone. Now let me comment this back in again and take, so we have 3 things to do. First of all, take this again. This, when it has a check state, the sibling element, in this case, his first sibling would be the menu class. Max, we'll take the max height and we'll change this to 400, maybe 450 pixels. So when this is checked, okay? Now after this is checked, I'm just going to copy this, go up here. After this is checked, we want the menu dash icon, the icons that we created up here, the hamburger, and then nav icon. So we're going to have the class of nav icon. So the very first one should have a background color of transparent. Now we're going to take the same thing, copy it one more time, and now the before should have a transition all 0.2 seconds is out. Then we want to transform this and now we can rotate elements, and we're going to rotate this with minus 45 degrees. We'll position it from the top 0. And we'll also give this a background color of tomato. Now we're going to copy this one time and change the before to after, and we only need to change this minus to 35 degrees. You can see how these are changing. Now I'm going to comment this out. So this is gone. Good. Now I'm going to create a media query, and I'm going to tell this that the min width, so at the min width of 900 pixels, I want the nav class within this, the allies, to float to the left. So when we add 900 pixels, now within the nav class lies the A tags have a heading all around, actually top and bottom 20 pixels and left and right 30 pixels. Now within the nav class, the menu class, we give this a clear none. We're going to float this to the right now. And I'm going to take out the max height. So max height, none. And now also within our nav class, the class of menu icon, we want to display it as none. So the menu icon is gone. And it will only appear when we go on the 900. And we actually forgot something here. So I'm just going to copy this. I forgot to actually only need to create this. So I forgot to create the actual first item. I only created the before and after, but it doesn't know what to do with it. So they should have a background color of FFF -f be displayed as block. It will have a height of 2 pixels, a width of 18 pixels. The position would be relative, and the transition background of 0.2 seconds is out. And now we can see our menu button right here. So the before should be plus and this should be minus 5 pixel. There's something wrong because this isn't hiding. Houston, I made a boo-boo. And where's the boo-boo? Okay, let me really quickly check this. Class menu. There's it. That was the problem. Okay, so let's really quickly take a look at this again. If this changes, we need to change this. Create another media query. And for this, we're going to just tell it to add media. And this time we're going to go with a max width of 768 pixels. And when this happens, we want within the section, the H1, to have a font size of only 4 rem. So let's take a look at this. If you go to 700 something, the font size changes. And now the next thing that I want to do is to push this to the right. And for this, we're going to take in the nav class, the logo class, and I'm going to give this just a margin to the left, not top, left of 25%. Check this out. It jumps to the right. So this disappears, going even smaller, this gets smaller. Now we have this. We have our drop-down menu. Okay guys, so thank you very much for watching this. If you liked it, thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. Subscribe to my channel if you like to see more content like this, and catch you next time. Bye bye.